I've chosen for today is from the book Who's Afraid of the Old Testament God by Dr. Alden Thompson. This book covers a number of chapters regarding the Old Testament and some of the difficult passages in it. This comes from the chapter titled The Worst Story in the Old Testament, and it deals with Judges 19 through 21, a story with many elements that are difficult for modern readers. I'm reading from the conclusion to the chapter, which is found on pages 122 and 123. How many times does God have a blessing that he longs to give to his people, but he cannot, for they have not truly turned to him? That is a significant lesson that we can learn from this worst of all stories, even if we are horrified by virtually everything else that took place. The worst story in the Old Testament, a testimony to a great degradation among God's people, but a testimony to the great patience of a God who had not turned his back on them. He was willing to work with them through all their vicious customs, seeking to draw them to higher ground. The author of the story already stood on vantage ground, for he saw that a king could be a great benefit to the land. But we stand on even higher ground, for we can see more clearly than Old Testament people ever could the great king himself, the great ideal of whom every Old Testament king was but a mere shadow. But that is the story that comes next, the best story in the Old Testament.